At FitFiliate, we're excited to announce the Affiliate Engineering Seminar. Coming soon to an affiliate near you, don't miss this exciting opportunity to create the affiliate of your dreams. Link in show notes or in bio to register. Welcome to the FitFiliate Podcast. And welcome back to our next episode of the FitFiliate Podcast. Joined, as always, by my faithful cohort Tony, who's busy walking
to nowhere.
To nowhere. But you know, it's a change up from the cycling, and you've still got that nice rhythmic sway that we like, that just sort of gets people in.
Always down for a new experiment. That's essentially where this whole thing comes from. There's two reasons for it. One, mostly curiosity. I was like, I wonder how many steps a Wednesday takes, because that's like the longest day for me. So I'm curious to see if I can set this PR. Like I said to you, I'm already at 15,000, and we're whatever time it is when you're listening to this. But the other reason, if I'm being honest, is that one, I don't do very well when I'm just standing. I lose focus. So I have to be doing something. I just have decided that it's probably not in my best efforts to sit on a bicycle seat for 8 hours a day.
It's a lot of, if we talk to the K-Star and J-Star, it's a lot of hip hinging still.
So it's great in terms of the activity. It's fantastic. It's fun. I like it. You know, it's quiet. It's a little bit easier. I sway a lot less than I do walking to nowhere. But it's not great for the pelvic floor. It's not great for the prostate. And so I'm just trying to make Trish happy. So
there you go.
She'll be happy that she got shouted out on this one.
Trish will love that shout out. I do remember when you first got the bike and you started the 1,000,000 meters in March.
Yeah, we already know where this is going to go. We know this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have hobbit feet by the end of the month.
How many pairs of shoes can you go through?
They'll be Vans, I can tell you that. Let's see how stable these puppies are.
All right. Well, let's digress from your journey on foot, the epic trek. Today's topic, I thought something relevant to a bit of the vibe around the place where affiliates are changing hands, or there seems to be a few new affiliates on the market. And the question is often coming up is, should I even buy an affiliate? Should I open one from scratch? And if I own an affiliate, should I sell it? How do I sell it? Or should I just close it? So big questions. You see the socials are full of, affiliates changing hands. I know in Australia, I've seen 3 this week, which is great for the communities in the tribe. And also some new affiliates opening. So some good stuff to dig into, I think, this week.
Okay. We'll go on this adventure.
Yeah.
We're going to walk and talk. I think it's been actually a handful of consults that have come in have come in on that conversation, entering or exiting. So I'm glad that we're discussing it. But I think aside from that, it's, in my opinion, and it's purely my opinion, I think this conversation is potentially more valuable to people who have zero interest in entering or exiting than it does even the people who are trying to enter or exit. And the reason for that is that it's not really about the amount of money that you make in your affiliate. It's about the value of the business that you can create in your affiliate. And that is essentially a rule for all businesses. It's not an affiliate-based one. And what that really means is that I think a lot of affiliate owners are particularly interested in the idea of earning an income, right? Making money, taking home a paycheck so that they can, show their family that, like, hey, I don't just wear gym clothes all day because I'm lazy, right? And they have to understand first and foremost that notion, that idea carries over a lot from a conventional career path, right? Following that career path in terms of, going to school. We talk about this a lot, getting a job and making it money. And the only thing you really have to show for it when you do things like that is like probably your title and your job, and then your income. And the only way you really have a way to show your income is like the car you bring in the parking lot, right? Or the house you live in. And so you want to tell your neighbors, you want to tell your friends and your family, like, hey, I'm doing it, right? So that carries over, I think, when people get to owning an affiliate and they think like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to ever prove to anybody that I like doing the right thing, right? And so
Mm.
I need to get to, nowadays with inflation, right? I got to get to like 180, 200 grand a year to not be impoverished. So, the problem with that is that the pursuit of income is not a direct correlation to the pursuit of valuation of your business. And I can tell you that you will make a lot more money as a business owner by building a business that's worth a lot of money that you can leverage, or you can exit, or you can just hold, than you will trying to work in your business, trading your time for money. And so the people who are listening to this who aren't trying to exit their business or have no interest in it because it's like they're going to die on that sword, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't still be building a quote unquote sellable business, right? And the rules are the same for all three parties: people entering, people exiting, and people trying to stay the same.
And I think that sometimes gets, people get nervous or scared when we talk about creating a sellable business that, well, I don't want to sell it. Are you going to make me sell it at the end of this process? Like, if I work with you, is that the thing? Is that I'm not supposed to be here anymore? Like, and I think that's an important differentiation to make. It's not about, that you will definitely sell it, but is it a valuable asset to you? Rather than being something that requires you integral to its operations.
I think a lot of people would probably find themselves with a for sale sign in front of their business once they ended up with a sellable one. They'd be like, I can get. It's just, I mean, look at the real estate market now. It's starting to cool off, but like the amount of people who are just like, I can get what for my house? Honey pack. Like we're moving, right? Then of course you got to buy the next one, which is a different conversation. But the reality is that like once people realize like you said you would give me what for my business, like that's a different thing. And so most of them probably would sell it. I also think in this conversation, like you had kind of already mentioned it, there's a lot of affiliates for sale, coming, going, etc. And I don't think it has anything to do truly with the affiliate fee, although some people probably would posit that like, I'm out, right? Like, it's an arbitrary number, honestly, for all intents and purposes. But what I think you see time-wise is there's a lot of people who left the affiliate landscape at COVID, sold their gym, exited their gym, etc. So a lot of people took possession of those affiliates after COVID. And those people are like, they're, a handful of years, almost 5 years in, they're like, this isn't fun. This was not like I thought it was. I want out. Or there's a lot of people who didn't get out through COVID because they got bailed out. Got lots of government money. That money's dried up. Things have gone up in price. And they're like, it was a lot more fun when I had that stimulus money. Like, I think I should get out of this abusive relationship and into a better relationship. And I think those are the things that's the confluence of things that are coming together to spur this new generation. Because like when we started, this was a big part of the conversation. And then the sellable thing kind of slowed down and got quiet. And now it's skyrocketed again. We should probably track the data because I think it's funny.
Yeah, and I think that we're getting to that point where we've got a lot of affiliate owners who've been in it for 10 plus years who are like, I've got a skill set now. I want to try something else.
How do I do that? I don't think they're actually doing that part. I disagree with you because most of them are like, what am I going to do if I don't own an affiliate? I'm like, well, I think most people find themselves paralyzed at the idea of like, what am I going to do with this skill set if I don't own an affiliate anymore? And I don't know if we could record an entire episode of potential that you could utilize your skill set for in the world of business and entrepreneurship. But I assure you, the lessons that you learn as an affiliate owner, they carry over to pretty much anything you want to do. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, the point of this conversation is about building a sellable business or buying a sellable or a desirable business or leaving one. And I think, from an actionable perspective, it's really pretty simple. And we've created a few times, but we have, I guess we'll call it the module, which is the 5 questions when evaluating an affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
And what is important about this is people who are entering the affiliate, I think most people start with the overwhelm, right? They're like, I don't even know where to start. Like, what's this thing worth? In terms of buying it. And the people who own one, they're like, what's this thing worth? And so they tend to go with a conventional path, which is like probably going to your accountant and getting an actual valuation from the accountant, which is a good starting point. I think to know that number is important, right? And so the accountant will essentially use one of a handful of widely accepted valuations, 3x sales, 1.5 multipliers, etc., and spit out a number based on your profit and loss, usually how much money you've made versus how much money you've spent. And then they'll basically calculate your EBITDA, and then they'll use that number. The thing is that doesn't mean shit in an affiliate, truly.
No.
It doesn't really mean shit in many businesses. And the reason why people use that one traditionally is that from a big business perspective, it is the number. Because when we're talking about multiple shareholders and we're talking hundreds or thousands, we have to figure out what is their value that needs to be paid out, and what do they need, or what's the share price, what's the stock price. And so those things matter, but I think from a perspective that can lead you in the wrong direction. And so when it comes time to sell your business, or it comes time to buy one, if you start with just looking at a beta, it can lead you into a strange conversation, because what ends up happening in that conversation is that it overlooks a handful of other more important questions. And most people don't buy small businesses, period.
No.
Right? And what they do, they tend to move themselves into a middle-sized business, which usually is around the 1 million plus. Like that's the I call it the barrier to entry for an investable business, meaning somebody's going to come in, probably stay hands off in your business and give you money to help you grow and scale the business, and they'll get their money in return. Under $1 million is, for all intents and purposes, a small business, which is 99% of affiliate owners, right? And 9.7 probably. And the reason people don't buy businesses in that category is one of the things that we talk about all the time. They're owner operated, right? You're not buying a business, you're buying somebody's operation. Right? And so the reason why a beta and all that stuff doesn't matter is that when I buy this thing, everything about the thing goes away. It's gone. Right? So imagine buying a house, and you look at the house and it's beautiful. It's got, furnishings from the best store, and it's got great decor, and it's got great light and everything. But then you submit the offer and you find that the terms of the deal is that they're going to gut the house down to the frame, right? You will be buying the outside walls and whatever's in the yard. Everything inside, the floor, the walls, the TVs, the couches, everything, it's going. You wouldn't pay anything for that either. Well, in this market, people might still. So you wouldn't buy anything for it, right? And you have to realize that when people look at your affiliate, you guys who are affiliate owners, and you're thinking about selling, you're going to take the floor, the couches, the walls, etc. Not because you're going to take the equipment. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're going to leave all that stuff, because the same reason you would probably leave the garbage and the dog hair and everything else, because it's not worth anything in your house, and your equipment is worth pennies on the dollar, right? So that we can just take right off the table. What you are going to take with you when you leave is what we were just talking about: your 10 years of experience, your knowledge, your market trends, all the things that have worked and the things that haven't worked, right? Because, like, let's be honest, one of the great parts about buying a house, if somebody guts it, you don't have to buy any of the faucet leaks or any of the mold or any of the other stuff. So there is perks to buying a shell, assuming that when you say, I'll give you $500,000 for this dream house, but then you find out they're going to gut the house, you say, oh, no problem. I'll just lower my offer to 50, right? And then I'll rebuild the inside, because then you get to start from square one, right? Like, you can build whole new floor plan, walls here, bathrooms there, kitchen however you want it. Like, it would be amazing, but you wouldn't pay $500,000 for the way that it was, unless, like, it was potentially worth multiple millions. So same thing happens in the business, right? And so if you're an affiliate owner and that's what you think you're doing, you're not selling your dream home.
And I think that's where it can there can be a bit of a mismatch, I guess, because, as the affiliate owner, I've put 10, 12, whatever years into this thing. I'm going to sell it, and I put a price on it for what its value is to me.
Right.
So with all of that stuff and all it means to me, and pricing out my equipment as if it was brand new, da 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 da. And then, someone will come and then they'll go through the steps, and they'll go to the accountant and they'll go, well, actually, you've just got a pretty ugly baby here, or a bland box of a shell that's actually worth this much. And then, so the person who wants to buy is going to come back, and the affiliate owner can get, a bit of their ego, pride, whatever hurt, going, well, no, it's worth more than just this. It's worth, and trying to convey that value. But like you said, it's like you're taking all of those things out of that house and just leaving the shell of the house.
Yeah. And so this brings us back to the owner operator conversation, right? And so the beauty of the pride and all the stuff that comes along with being an owner operator, right? Like if you were a great plumber, you move into becoming the plumbing business owner, et cetera. And like you can pride yourself on the reviews, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you don't really have much to sell, right? And to be clear, this is not an affiliate owner problem. This is, and I wouldn't have necessarily call it a problem. It's just that when you are in an owner operated business, just know that there is no exit plan, right? It's not one day I'm going to sell this thing unless you turn it into a business. And one of my favorite things to do is to run numbers and invest in other small businesses. And I love the businesses under $1 million because no one's paying attention to them. And in my opinion, they're the ones with the most opportunity for advancement, because the root question here, when it comes time to enter an affiliate, should you buy an affiliate or should you build one? A basic business rule is never build when you can buy. Right? Just get the head start. And so when you start looking at these sub $1 million businesses, there's lots of great business ideas if we can figure out how to easily systemize the operations of the owner. Right? If I can take owner Johnny out of the equation and I could better involve software and systems and procedures and maybe some other employees to do his work and better, I can take a business that's worth, $500,000-$600,000 and easily bump it to well over $1 million and then exit again, right? Like, and so you have to understand this with affiliates as well. And if you are one of the people who owns an affiliate, I'm not telling you that you ever need to leave your affiliate, but I'm telling you at some point, you're probably going to want to go to the bank and buy your building, right? Hopefully. And the bank's going to say, okay, let's look at your numbers. And they'll start first with looking at like your EBITDA, right? Like how profitable is your business? But then they're going to start to wonder, what's the repeatability of said EBITDA? Like, and then they start to underwrite the deal and they start to realize like, hey, Lisa, what happens if you get sick? What happens if you take a vacation? Like, what is the stability of these numbers? And then, as an owner, you're like, oh, no, I've gotten sick and I've taken vacations. They haven't been bad. They're like, oh, so they could be much better if you just didn't get sick, didn't take vacations. Why didn't you hire somebody? Well, because I like doing it. Well, I'm glad that you like doing it, but that's a risk for us. I'm out. Right. And so then you're like, but instead, if you built the business that was quote unquote sellable and you followed the five questions, the 5 pillars, and you go to the bank says, these numbers look pretty good. And this is the system. This is how it works. And it's repeatedly, so that's the averages. Some weeks are up, some weeks are under, but on average, this is where we're at. And it just kind of works that way. Bank's like, when do you want to close? Right. And so there's a big part of leverage there. So there's that part, right? Buying your business. Maybe you decide, I would like to increase my net worth. So you'd like to use the value of the business and you start buying real estate, right? You start investing in other things. And there's lots of reasons to build a sellable business, not the least of which is to actually sell the business. It's to turn it into a valuable asset that you can utilize.
And it's, we talk a lot on here about, our 4 freedoms, and really having a business that is sellable, whether you choose to sell or not, affords you those 4 freedoms that I've got a business that's, doesn't revolve around me and need me to exist. And so if I want to go away for 2 weeks, or my family needs me, or there's some emergency, I can go and know that everything's going to be okay on this back end. And I can really just be around the gym because I want to, not because I have to. I can, kiss the hands and shake the babies, or vice versa. Whatever floats your boat. Like, you can be around and actually enjoy this thing that you've built, rather than, oh, I'm back here again and I've got to do this and da, 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 and I'm exhausted and I'm burnt out and I've cooked and I really hate my life.
Yeah.
And want to sell it because you're at that point, and realizing at that point it's not sellable.
Mm-hmm.
Which is often a hard conversation we've had to have in the past as well with people.
I mean, most affiliates aren't really sellable. I mean, if somebody wants to give you money, that's different than being sellable, right? And what's great about affiliates, the most fascinating thing, I think, inside the landscape is the amount of new owners who base business value on goodwill. Like, they just really want to own the affiliate, and they're willing to pay. It's kind of like the real estate market now. People are just house to complete and knockdown. They're like, I'm just done looking. I want to buy the house, right? And so the same thing happens. Like, they get to buy a seat at the cool kids table, so they pay a lot of money for it. But don't confuse yourself in thinking that makes your business actually sellable, and it doesn't make your business leverageable, and it doesn't make your business valuable. If somebody on the off chance wants to throw you a couple hundo for it, that's awesome. But we want to make sure that we can create something that is tangible, actionable, and leverageable, right? So we got to get the business to value. And so one of the more important questions is, not more important questions, but one of the more important shifts in focus is that the amount of money a business makes does not inherently increase the value of the company. And I think this is where people think that, like, to make more money, the business must be more valuable. It can, and more often than not, it certainly does. But if a business makes a lot of money, and it does so very complex through a lot of various different methods and madness and things, it's less valuable than a business that makes less money but does it simply. And what you see is a shift in the entire, economy now. Look at the number of businesses who have shifted to the membership economy, right? They've moved away from retail and commodities and productized sales, and they move to a membership economy, and they deliver the exact same product, right? You got the Bark boxes, bringing you stuff each week. You've got Chewy putting you on subscription to get the dog food. You've got all these things. And what's the reason? Which is the first most important question. What is the repeatability of the revenue? And so in an affiliate, it's a home run. It's one of the reasons why affiliates are great. They're great cash cows, but the most important thing that they have is a built-in membership model. Which means you got to find a way to get the most amount of money from the least amount of people, and do so with the most amount of repeatability. What that doesn't mean is get a random amount of money from the most amount of people and do so only on goodwill and no repeatability, which is what the case happens for most affiliates, right? Like, the average affiliate's got 17 different price points. They got discounts here, this, that. And I'm not against discounts. I'm just saying that, like, it makes things more complex. They have hundreds of members paying random different amounts at random different times, when they could just go to lesser people who pay more money, more repeatedly and more regularly, and they get a higher level of service, which means that they're more likely to stay longer. Your lifetime value of your client is the best predictor of that. If you can show a very, very high or an increasing lifetime value in your business, and you can show a degree of positive growth that comes along with it, your business valuation skyrockets. And that doesn't even mean that you've realized that revenue, because a lot of lifetime value is based on forecasted income. So you haven't even made that money yet, right? And it's a lot of it is based on forecasted continued growth, because for the last 2 years, you've averaged 8% growth. So if you've averaged 8% growth and you've got a $10,000 lifetime value, this thing starts to be worth a lot of money, right? But if you've got a bunch of money per month, but from a lot of different people, and your growth rates are up and down, left and right, looks good, kind of bad. Tell me more, right? And then I start digging, and I'm like, how do you decide who pays 180 versus 130? Well, they decide. They pick. And I'm like, your customer tells you what your product is worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, based on their budget, they decide, if they want to come 2 times a week. Well, what do they need? Well, everybody needs to be here 5 days a week. So if they're here 5 days a week, they would pay you more money. They'd get more value, is what you're saying. They would be more benefits, more success. Yeah, so the more people would get referred, most likely, because they would see this. Yeah, so why isn't everybody on it? Well, because they don't want to pay it, which brings me to my next question. That usually is an important one. So the first one is, what is your recurring, repeatable, predictable revenue, and how boring is it? The more boring you can make it, the more valuable it is. So take a look at that number. If you're buying, how many price points are there? Like, is everybody on a different rate? How many discounts? How many members? But what's the lifetime value? Most gyms don't even have it calculated correctly, right? And I can show you guys how to very basically calculate lifetime value, but I'll spare you the math on this one. If you're a gym owner, I'm not saying go to contracts, because in many cases, people who are paying you without a contract and have high lifetime values is way better than buying a business that's got everybody locked up in a contract. Like, I don't want to go buy a Planet Fitness or a Gold's Gym, because I know most of those people hate being there. So they're like one billing cycle away from quitting. But if you can show me that people love it here and they're here and they've paid and their lifetime value is like 10 grand and like their whole family is here, I'm in. Like, that's, and they're here on faith. I like that. So I'm not saying contracts, I'm saying quality, but I'm saying boring, right? Focus on the quality of the business, not the quantity of the business. The quality is really just a fancy way of saying make it fucking boring.
Yeah. And,
Which
that's, sorry.
Which is not an affiliate for most people.
No, because they try and make it as complex as possible. And again, that when we talk about your recurring revenue, that brings up that pricing conversation again, where people are like, oh, well, I'm too scared to actually ask for what this is worth, or all of that sort of stuff. So that's a separate rabbit hole. I know we've dug into that before, but all those things, like, for someone listening to this, it should be setting off light bulbs as they go. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a thing that I struggle with, or I don't have that, or I don't do that. And look at your business from the perspective of someone who might want to acquire it from you at some point, because it really is valuable
always
and
look outside
sustainable. But we're humans. We don't. We just, and which is why we get into the conversation where someone will value their affiliate at way more than what it is actually, worth for someone else to purchase, because they're valuing their emotional investment and how much their black map goodness was on day one versus, now, and taking all that stuff into account.
Yeah. Right. And like that leads into, there's really 5 questions, and spoiler, I'm not going to give you all 5, but there's 3 that really probably solve a lot of problems. And the second question, I guess, leads it right off of that one, which is, what is your core product? Right. And we're not talking about productized sales versus, membership sales, but like, what is the core product that people buy from you? And what does that look like? And I think in many affiliates, this is a head scratcher, because they're just like, CrossFit? Well, that's the service you provide, but that's not the product. And if it's the product, because you're like a training facility, then you're going to have a problem, because everybody in town is a risk for me as a potential investor. Because I'm like, how is yours better than theirs? And you'll give me the likely answers, like, best coach is this, that, and everything. I'm like, right. But how does a new client experience that betterness? Oh, well, then once they sign up, they know it right away. I'm like, so how long do they have to stay before they're like, wow, this is amazing? Oh, not very long at all. Well, how would they know if they've never? Well, it'd be easier if they experienced it in another gym. Right? Like, oh, so the way that you tell me that you keep clients is by letting them experience their people and showing them that they're better. Maybe we could just change the core product, right? And stop selling the same thing that everybody else is selling and change it. So when looking at an affiliate to buy it, you have to ask, what's your core product? And for most of them, they will tell you some version of a package, right? Unlimited 3 times a week, or they'll tell you CrossFit, right? But challenge them a little bit more, like, right, but if I buy that, what am I getting? Oh, I'm getting you're going to get fitness, you're going to get this, and you're going to get that. Like, okay, that's a little bit better. And so as an investor, start looking at it that way as an opportunity. It's like, so if people are already giving you 150 and you're not even talking about the actual product, you're just selling them the service.
Yeah.
Like, there might be some opportunity here. But if you're a gym owner and you want to increase the value of your company, you need to come up with a core product. And that means two things. Figure out what it is that people buy from you, and they do so regularly and they do so easily and repeatedly. And that kind of tells you what your core product is. And if you happen to find out that product is not the product that you want to sell, then it's time for you to consider how you can increase the value of that product, the revenue, et cetera, without making it very, very complex. Because remember, we still got to be boring, right? So we don't want to we don't make it more valuable by being like, we're going to add weightlifting and boot camp and nutrition. Or like, they might be. I'm not saying that they're bad answers, but if it requires being really, really complex to do it, anybody who's looking at it's going to be like, oh, I would much prefer that people come in 3 to 5 times a week, do one class, and like they hang out, right? Like, so that's, you got to define your core product, and you got to, so if you're a new investor, look for one. If you're a current gym owner, build one. If you're somebody who's exiting, rebuild one. Figure that out.
Yep.
Because the third question is probably the one that breaks everybody's valuation, which is coming off of number 1 and number 2, and that is, okay, I've got your EBITDA, I've got your repeatable monthly revenue, your membership rates, et cetera, how much money's coming in. I got an idea of what your core product kind of is, as diluted as it may be. Of the revenue in the last 90 days, what percentage of that is responsible to the owner? Or rather, maybe even more trickier, of the revenue in the last 90 days, who is responsible for what percentage of that? Almost unanimously, you will find, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
I'll be proud, right?
Yeah,
killing it. I'm sales guru. And you're like, ooh. But why would that be a problem? Because you're leaving, right? If you're the person who's bringing in all the revenue and you're the reason that people are staying, you're the reason people are happy, why on earth would I give you any degree of the number you asked for if you're leaving? You're gutting the house and you're going with it, right? And so when you're a buyer coming in, ask that question. You'll be paralyzed by it. What you'll likely find is the second answer is they'll give you the whole list of people. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe it depends on who's on the gym and flavor of the day and who's at the front door. You're like, okay, cool, got it. You're not responsible for it. I love it. What product did they sell? What percentage of revenue did each of them create? And you'll see they're all over the place, which means those people were cashiers. They were not salespeople, right? They came in and someone said, I'd like to sign up today. And then that person's like, great, I'll take your credit card. How many days a week do you want to come?
Right. And again, that's not, it takes away that repeatable, because it just, like you just said, depends on who's there on the day, how successful they will be at that sale or cashier work.
Well, even if it is repeatable, right? Let's say it's on average, that's what's happening. Do we want to repeat it? Is it actually helping the business value, right? It's like, well, I run every day, plus I do CrossFit, plus I do weightlifting. I'm going to keep that up. Do you need to? What if we could cut 2/3 of that and in exchange keep 70% of the fitness? Wouldn't you rather get those 2 hours back and not do the lifting and the running and just do the CrossFit? Well, yeah. Or you'd be like, oh, I really like running. Right. But at the end of the day, we're here because you told me you don't have enough time in your day. So we got to cut some time, right? And if we can get in the same level of fitness or roughly the same, but we can cut 2/3 of your time, we'd probably give that up. Same thing in your business, right? Like, you could repeat it. It could be working, but maybe it would be better if you just focused on what is the functional fitness product in there, because that's the thing that's actually going to make your business more valuable. But if you're a business owner and you're trying to sell, this leads us into the most important one. Get a sales team. That doesn't mean repurpose your coaches or, get a volunteer, because your coaches aren't really great salespeople. Hopefully they are. And I would love to help them become better salespeople, because if they learn how to create their own revenue, they will never leave this industry and they'll become better and better and better and better coaches. But if they think coaching is handouts, they're probably never going to make it in this industry because
Mm.
nobody's really got anything to give out to them. So they do need to learn how to sell. But what you need to learn is how to get salespeople. And one of the reasons that this doesn't really happen is that, one, as an owner, you don't really know sales yourself, or you don't really like sales, or you just happen to be really good at sales, but you don't really know why. And the reason you're good at it is because you believe in the product. You put your whole life savings into it. So people feel that from you. Good salespeople can emulate that and replicate it. You got to find them. But most people don't hire salespeople because, like, I can't afford them. Well, that's going to obviously affect your valuation. But here's the catch. A good salesperson should cost you literally nothing. In fact, they should make you so much money that the amount of money they cost should be completely negotiable. They should be able to name their price, because whatever they need, they just have to sell more than. You're like, okay, you want to make 500 grand a year? Perfect. Sell 1 million. And a good salesperson will be like, game on. Give me the list. I'm going to start calling right now.
But that scares affiliate owners to a degree, going, how can I give someone a job without paying them something? And, you know, they because they've never worked in that space, don't understand, like, that's like someone who's genuinely good at, passionate about, and lives to sell doesn't want to have their income capped by, well, you're going to get this much per week.
Yeah,
that's not what they're about.
We could spend a lot of time talking about how to build a sales team, and I think we probably lose a lot of people because that word is like muted. I'm out.
Yeah.
Just know one thing when it comes time to build a sales team. Any salesperson who wants a base salary in exchange for a lower commission should not be hired. A good salesperson wants to be 100% commission, because that means they get to make as much money as they want. Being in a base salary is a risk for me as a good salesperson, because I'll get really comfortable. I want to be hungry. And if you give me 100 grand a year as a base salary plus commission, I can get really comfy on 100 grand. Right. And so, like, I'm just going to dial less. I'm going to work less, and then I'm going to make less. So I'd much rather make 100%. And anybody listening to this would be like, no one wants to do that. You're wrong. I assure you, there's a lot of people who love sales, and they're like, and what they love about it is the endless opportunity of agency. They don't want to be in the confines of control and inside your ecosystem. So, and if you are somebody who owns an affiliate and you're trying to leave one, dude, you can increase your valuation massively in like 30 days if you just get a salesperson to come in. And dude, just go down to your cell phone guy and be like, hey, are you sick of selling cell phones yet? Like, want to come work for me? I guarantee you they'll leave. Right? Go to the panhandler on the corner. Like, if they'll ask strangers for dollars, clean them up, get them in the gym. I mean, there's salespeople are all over the place, but find them. But the thing is that you're not going to attract good salespeople unless you have a quality core product that's worth a lot of money, because I'm going to look at it and be like, how can I sell this for $2,000? And the gym owner's gonna be like, no, we sell it for 200. Like, well, but if somebody will give us $2,000 for it, can we just increase the service and, like, I can get more commission? They're like, yeah, it'll never happen. Get out of the way of that salesperson and watch. When they sell it, they're going to be like, you'll freak out. You'll be like, you sold that for how much? And then you're going to feel all the responsibility in the world to make good on that money. That's the way every customer should have felt.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a powerful way to get yourself out of your own way when it comes to your limitations around your pricing, is have someone else look at your product and go, I can sell that for $2,000, and watch them go do that. And suddenly, when you're not part of that equation, it becomes really easy then for you to go, well, yeah, actually, it is worth that. And I don't have to ask for it, so I can take myself out of this shitty spot that I hate being in.
Yeah, and those are three basic questions, right? Those are the three simple questions you can use to figure out, like, is this thing worth buying? Is this thing worth selling? And am I really building something that's worth owning, right? Like, focus on those. But what you will find on the backside is the big problem, right? So let's go back to the actual problem, because when it comes time for me to ask these questions of you, and I say, hey, who is responsible for this income, right? They're going to be like, well, me. And you'd be like, okay, so you're leaving. Yeah, exactly. Welcome to business. It's your job. Like, you just said it. I'm not buying a job. You built one, and you want to sell me yours because you want to get out of it. but
Mm,
I want to buy a business. I don't want to buy a job. And so if
mm,
you're somebody who's entering, be very mindful that you're not buying somebody's problem. You're not buying somebody's work. You're buying somebody's business, which means that it operates. Most
mm,
people are trying to sell you their service and their operation, but make sure that operation is working. Buy a business instead.
mm,
Right. And so if you're somebody who owns an affiliate, think about it. Would you buy that gutted house? I would assume no.
mm,
Right. So build something that is worth buying. And the easiest way to do that is to build a business. Stop glorifying the grind. Stop, giving yourself all the excuses in the world to continue doing the things that you know are not a good use of your time because you don't know how to change them. Or
mm,
worse, you're in your own way and your ability to change them because the ego, et cetera, is the part of the narrative. So change them. And if you're somebody who needs to sell the affiliate, start right there. Right? Like, don't sell somebody your job. I get that it might have been your job for 10 years, but just know if it is time to sell and it's got to go now,
mm.
it's a job and it's
Yeah.
not worth anything because I got to
Mm,
do the work.
yep. And, that's the important thing is when someone's deciding whether to start their own affiliate from scratch or they want to buy or they decide to look into buying someone else's affiliate, some of those things cross their mind like, am I buying someone else's problems? Am I, have they just put lipstick on this pig, but it's still a pig kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Or, if I start from scratch, how many years is it going to take me to get to the point where it's not a job for me? Or do
Mm-hmm.
I want to walk in to pay money to already have those steps done?
Mm-hmm.
And the latter is definitely more attractive than going, well, I could start it myself, but then I've got to go through all that stuff to get to the point where I'm not central to it, or I could buy something that's already set up and running, running well.
Yeah. Learning how to buy a business is a super cool skill. And I think if nothing else, it helps you better understand how to build a business and how to be proud of a business. And instead of owning a job, it'll change the way that you look at your relationship to the money that the business pays you, and instead look at the value that you're creating, which, like you said earlier, leads us into the conversation of the 4 freedoms. The whole reason for a sellable business is that it is the mechanism that makes the 4 freedoms possible. It frees you of your time, it frees you of your money, it frees you to pursue your purpose, and it frees you to invest in relationships. And then whatever that looks like comes together as freedom. If, however, you work, it's still admirable. You own your own business. So but it's crazy to me to buy a job and to be self-employed because you can make so much more money working for somebody else's company with none of the risk, with none of the liability, none of the sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering how you're going to do this. It's not worth it because we've said it 1,000 times. The purpose of every business is to improve the quality of life of the owner. If you bought a job and you treat it as a job, you get all of the downsides of owning a business, which is all the liability, all the responsibility, all the risks, all the threats, etc. And you get none of the upside of being an employee, which is the consistency of income, the stability of a paycheck, the repeatability of all that. And so you agree to land somewhere in the middle of no man's land, being like, just gonna own the grind. And this is, if you grab 100 business owners, this is why most of them, 90% of them, are burnt out. They'll tell you, don't do it. It's a bad idea. And that's because they didn't build a business, they built a job, right? And 90% of businesses fail. It's probably more than that, but 90% of businesses fail. And everybody will tell you it's because they run out of money. It has nothing to do with that. If you can get into business, you've had more than enough money to maintain the business. What you run out of is energy and enthusiasm and motivation and traction. You get burnt out. And burnt out business owners lead to lack of creativity and lack of innovation. And a lack of innovation in a business is a death sentence. And so if you're listening to this, it's not really about selling your business and getting out of it or otherwise. It's about maintaining innovation inside your business. And ask yourself, how often or when was the last time we truly innovated what we do here? And I don't mean change it, make it more complex. I mean increase the value and decrease the barrier to entry.
And
it's not that's an important part of it.
And by innovating, we're not talking about, do I follow mayhem or proven programming? It's how do I
It might be an innovation, but probably not.
It might be, but not to, you know, increasing the value of that recurring, repeatable revenue is how do I make this service more valuable to the people who are using it?
And essentially, at its core, it's really how do I become more profitable doing more for more people or for more dollars, right?
Yep.
And so when you're listening to it, if you're one of the people who are trying to get in, or you're trying to stay in, or you're trying to get out, like it's really all it comes down to. What's left to innovate? What's left there, right? Because like to your point about being a lipstick on a pig, pigs are still good eating. That's where bacon comes from, right? So buy the pig, right? You know, when you're shopping for a house, you don't buy the nicest house on the street. You buy the ugliest house on the street, and then you make it nice, and that's how you get back on it. You and I both know that most people don't do that, right? They go looking for the nicest house in the best neighborhood. They like go buy the worst house in the best neighborhood because that's where the most innovation is able to happen. If we're talking about houses, you can add on bedrooms and paints and pools and things of that nature, and you can get your money back. But if you buy the nicest house, guess what? All of your shitty neighbors are responsible for how much your house is worth. And you're going to be mad about it. And that sounds a lot like an affiliate owner.
Yeah.
You're mad because everybody else is bringing down the price of your house. Well, you bought the nicest house on the street. Go buy the pig and innovate it, because that's how this industry is going to come back, right? If we start buying these pigs and we start making them into something, the whole industry is going to innovate. But if we keep chasing best practices and standards and systems, innovation goes the wayside. Be very allergic to best practices because they are the antithesis of innovation. If this is the best way to do things, nobody is going to ask, how do we do it better? Right? And in a business, when they stop innovating, it's over.
And that's where we, fall down the hole of it does become about, commoditization, and then everyone's the same. So your regular Joe walking down the street goes, well, you're the same, you're the same, you're the same, you're the same. So I'll just do it based on who's going to do it, charge me less for it.
The simplest solution to the affiliate conundrum is truly just business valuation. If we just made them all sellable businesses, you would solve the whole problem.
Yep. And, this is the beauty of the affiliate model, is that you have the power to make it whatever you want to be. So you do have that power of innovation and creativity to completely make it something unique and stand out. It doesn't have to be, well, this is what Bob down the road does and it works for him, so this is what I'm going to do. Well, now you're just Bob 2.0. And maybe not even Bob 2.0, because what Bob did might not work for you. So you've got to change it.
You might pull back the covers on Bob and find that he's full of shit. Like most, you can hang on to any of those affiliate owner groups, and like, it's no offense to anybody, but like, I know everybody's just throwing around random numbers to make themselves look good and feel better about themselves. But like, even if those things are true, be proud of building a boring business. Be proud of the business that you have, but make your business more valuable, and don't worry about how much money the business pays you. There's nothing wrong with taking a paycheck, but there's many, many, many more valuable ways, with truly less tax implications, I suppose, for that reason too, to make money from your business than just giving yourself a paycheck every single week.
Yep. So but
there's 5 steps to
there are
acquiring an affiliate, and we will teach you those if you want. So you can, Lisa will do some magic thing and give you guys the ability to do that, because there's 5 steps to acquiring a business, really any business, but in this case, an affiliate. And then inside that, there's the other questions that are alongside those 3, and more than willing to give it to you guys so you guys can have it, because the more people who buy pigs, the better the business becomes. The more of you guys who own pigs, the better the pig becomes. Like, let's put a ribbon on that hog. And those of you guys who want out, I want you to have something to show for it. And it's not as hard as you think to build a sellable business. And it can be done in 3 to 6 months, truly, because it just takes some degree of repeatability.
Yep. And, we want to have thriving, happy affiliates and thriving, happy affiliate owners who are achieving freedom through having a business, not, having something around their neck that weighs them down every day. So,
if we can increase the average selling price of an affiliate to, let's just call it $500,000, an affiliate's now worth $500,000, because it's just like buying a house. right?
Mm.
So that already makes the affiliate community better because now people are interested in it again. They're like, ooh, I can make money there, right? Those of you guys who own an affiliate, you have something of aspiration to be like, wow, let's make it 750, right? So you're starting to build valuation. And then those of you guys who are buying into the business, you're going to bring innovation to some degree of stagnation of an industry. So like it's a win-win across the board. It's not because you got to hang your flag and run. It's just time. There's always a changing of the guard.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in for this one. I think that's been a powerful discussion. We will have a link in the show notes for you to go and ask yourself those 5 questions, and also to reach out for a chat if you want to talk through any of those answers, which may have made your eyes water, wince, or may have made you flinch a little. Or if you've got your ducks lined up, you can chat about that with us as well. Don't forget
Just reach
to
out, truly.
Yep.
And if you're going to buy a business, reach out. I'll help you underwrite the business and show you those questions. If you want to sell your business, I'll help you improve that value of that business. And if you own the business, just reach out. I'll underwrite your business too and show you where it needs to go. And that's as objective as it gets.
Perfect. Thank you, good sir. And don't forget to subscribe to us on your favorite channel. 18,000. Look at you. 3,000 in that episode. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Fit Affiliates. And we'll see you next week, where Tony will have burnt through a couple of pair of vans by then, and he'll be
burnt
still
through the belt on this treadmill by then.
Yeah, he will. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please remember to like and subscribe on your favorite platform. And if you know an affiliate owner, a coach, or entrepreneur that would benefit from hearing our conversations, please share this with them. We love the feedback and support we have from you guys, our audience. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find all the useful links in the show notes. We would love to connect with you. Keep doing the great work.